This is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No. Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Welcome to DBL. I'm Sam in for Tori, who has the day off. Now, before we start, we do want to send our thoughts and prayers to all our viewers in the South. Adelia tore a destructive path across the Southeast yesterday, leaving at least 3 dead. Now, residents in Florida are assessing the storm's damage with estimates that the cleanup could cost more than $9 billion. Hundreds of thousands are still without power. Coastal flooding breached sea defenses in Charleston, South Carolina last night, flooding the streets of the historic city. I know your mom's there. Have you talked to her? She's in Charleston.
Was just on that street 2.5 months ago. The good news is that in Charleston, my new father-in-law this is what he does. They're used to hurricanes. They're used to water. They know how to handle this, and they are okay. But, there's going to be a lot of rebuilding, and I hope that we kind of take these seconds to realize that, when you see streets like that, that's what's important. That's when we all come together,
right?
And not just, it can't always be online arguing. That's real what those people are going through.
So true.
Let's try and focus on that every once in a while.
Amen. Amen. I'm glad your mom's okay.
She's good. Shout out Jackie.
Shout out Jackie. Okay, so there are some questions today about 81-year-old Senator Mitch McConnell's health after he appeared to freeze again while answering questions about his re-election campaign. Take a look.
Sorry, I had a hard time hearing you.
That's okay. What are your thoughts on running for re-election in 2026?
What are my thoughts about what?
Running for re-election in 2026.
That's
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026? All right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need a minute. Senator. Benny.
This is the second time Senator McConnell appeared to freeze while answering questions. The last time was on July 26th. Now, Senator McConnell did return to answer a few more questions and said he was feeling fine after experiencing some lightheadedness. An aide also said he would go see a doctor as, quote, as a prudent measure. So what do we think of this? And is it time for the senator to step aside? I also want to broaden this conversation. He's not the only one of that certain age. Dianne Feinstein comes to mind. Nancy Pelosi comes to mind. Do you think that we are doing a disservice to this country? Who decides if someone is cognitively able to serve us, the people?
It's interesting that we haven't had this conversation before now. I mean, Mitch McConnell, we can see this. We have video of this. What if he was a Supreme Court justice? I don't even know what most of them look like. If we're talking about people that have their hand on the gear shift that decides the direction of this country, and they are unable to answer questions about where they are and are they okay, I think that's a discussion that needs to be had, but also keeping in mind that this brings in the idea of age limits. But, unfortunately, we just saw Bruce Willis. And he's a fairly young man. He's younger than Mitch McConnell. Your brain doesn't really care how old you are. Some brains are sharp as a tack at 95, and some start to deteriorate in your late 30s. And we need to have ways to measure this and understand, as unfortunate as it is, Erica, that should something like we just looked at with our eyes start to happen, that we have plans in place like you would if there was a fire in your house or you were trapped somewhere. You have plans for that. Why wouldn't you have a plan for this?
I think, yes, I think a plan is something we should be thinking about, but also the practice of discernment. Of course, there are a lot of people who are up in age, who are in leadership positions, and people will question their mental fitness, their physical fitness all the time. But you have this particular person in the past, 4 to 5 weeks, this has happened in public twice. If you look at the way that other people around him are reacting to it, it appears that this isn't anything new. Right. If it's happened in public 2 times in the past 5 weeks, how many times has it happened in private? I'm also questioning the idea that he would go see a doctor. I am going to question anyone who knows that they have something going on with themselves and aren't doing preventative, proactive measures of going to see a doctor and finding out what's happening with them, period. That's not a conversation that people should be having with us, the general public. The answer should have been, he's been to the doctor and this is what was said. The doctor should be coming out saying this person is mentally fit. But the idea that he would go, what are we talking about here?
Jeff, what are you thinking?
Well, when it comes to politics, we weaponize things like this instead of just having concern for elderly people. There's some elderly people that are sharp as a whip, right? They're up there, here, this is what's going on, I've been in this a long time. That's fine. But when everyone is looking at these videos and they're kind of embarrassed, like if that was my dad, I'd have a conversation, say, Dad, it's time to step down, man. He didn't appear, he appeared to freeze. He froze. Multiple times now, okay? We left out Joe Biden, our own president. I have questions about him. It's not what side I'm on. It's, is he fit? This is our country we're talking about. It's not running Trader Joe's and saying, hey, this guy still wants to be part of the game. Let's let him work at Trader Joe's.
Let's find a job for him to do.
Would you let Mitch McConnell run heavy machinery? No, a doctor would say, absolutely not. You're going to kill somebody. So is our country. It's life and death with some of these decisions that we're making, but we weaponize it. What Feinstein, I don't even know. What is she doing?
Right.
She's 98 years old. Get out of there. You can put your own party back in there, but you have to get out of there. Some of the ideologies of people that are older, they don't even know they have biases, but you do. Right? I'm sure I do too. But you got to get them out of there. Times change, people change. You got to relate to the culture that's going on. This guy not only knows what's going on in the culture, but in his own world. And then that's multiple people in government. So let's not stop right here. Let's, like you said, go to the Supreme Court. Look at other places. Look at our own president. No one will admit that he falls down all the time and he doesn't know where he is, or they won't even walk him out in public anymore. We talk about public debates. You want that guy on the stage for an hour answering questions, you're going to see where his cognitive skills are. They're not really there.
So what is the solution going to be? Because if you think Congress is going to pass it,
no,
and they're
of course
voting
not.
against
Of
their
course
own
not.
best interest, don't you feel super gaslit as a constituent? I do. I want the best of the best, no matter what political side of the aisle you're on, to be representing the people. Okay? Because like you said, this is life or death. So I take issue with the fact that, yes, if the majority of Americans, and the majority of Americans do want term limits, how are we going to get that to pass when the very people that we're begging to set term limits are the ones benefiting from it, Albert?
Well, it's not only them. Think about the people around them. Jeff, you're like, get them out of there. Well, then there goes 30 staffers with them. There's a lot of people that have an inherent self-interest to keep Dianne Feinstein upright and showing up when she can, for strictly selfish reasons. But if you got rid of those senators, the people around them are now unemployed, and it could shift the power in the House or the Senate or whatever it is. I don't understand the political congressional stuff either, but that is a part of it. So the reason that we keep seeing these people wheeled out there is because they represent something, even though it almost looks like it's a physical danger to themselves. So I think there's a lot of different people, a lot of different reasons why these people continue to appear on our television screens when it looks like they should be somewhere resting.
Right. Whew. All right, well, coming up on DBL, 4 friends over 40 who have gone viral for their relatable advice are sharing how they're laughing through aging, and we're finally meeting the ladies who will compete for Gary's heart on the Golden Bachelor. Are these contestants a realistic representation of older women?
Jeff, I watched that BS High documentary yesterday.
What is it?
BS High.
What's that?
It's about a fake
Bishop Sycamore.
Yeah, a Bishop Sycamore, which it's weird that the two identifying letters are BS, but I remember it came on ESPN because they played the #1 high school team in the country, and they showed the best team on ESPN, and they got killed, and it was like, everybody's like, how is this team? And then during the game, it started leaking that they weren't a real high school.
What?
Yeah, and it really reminded me a lot of T.M. Landry, but he was kind of poaching players that were out of high school but still eligibility, but like didn't, were just kind of like floating, not really recruited, and he brought them in to this fake school, and he got a schedule together, and he was playing like the best teams. But
What was his goal? To get them to like
to make money. The IMG Academy just sold for $1.25 billion. This is a high school. a high school because they crank out all the best athletes.
Where is
go
that?
to this school. Where is IMG? Or is there? Is it in California?
I don't know. Maybe it sounds
Right.
Sound right.
But I mean, all the best players go to this school, and all the scouts look. And this school goes undefeated, but people play them just so that you can get seen by the scouts. That's how good this school is. And that's really the only reason they found out that this school was nonsense. Is
When
because
did this
they played
happen? Never even heard of this.
2 years ago.
What?
Like during COVID.
Yeah.
What did the kids think? Did they have any clue?
No, the kids are like.
It's so sad.
Yeah, the
It's
kids are
so
broken
sad.
because they were kids that were kind of not good enough to get that next level, but this coach kind of promised them that. It really goes deep. Yeah, it really goes deep.
Welcome back. We are finally getting a look at some of the women who will be competing for Gary's heart on the Golden Bachelor. So 71-year-old Gary from Indiana will have his pick from 22 women who range in age from 60 to 75. Take a look.
People have a mental picture of what a 73-year-old person is and what they look like, which is not me.
It's a good time for us to realize in these golden years that we have a lot of life to live.
I am 66 and my heart is wide open. Live life out loud.
We're still fun. We have a lot of zest for life. You know, I don't watch anything with old people on it because I don't want to get old.
A lot of the women said they are very into pickleball, which is a good sign because that's Gary's favorite sport. Okay, so Erica, do you think that these women are realistic expectations of women over 60?
I'm so sick of what real women, like, we here, aren't we? It's real. Like, we're breathing, we're living, everybody's breathing and living. You're a real woman. Plus, I'm so sorry. Anytime someone says something like this, I'm like, you kind of sound like a hater. You don't know if these women have been baddies their entire life. Maybe they got into their baddie kingdom at 55. Let them live, okay? Maybe they don't look like what the average 70-something-year-old is supposed to look like according to the gospel of, like, what happened 80 years ago. Maybe they don't. But let them live. They're real women, just like everyone else. I don't understand what we're talking about here. Also, if you saw Patty, there's
Which one's
Patty.
Patty? Oh, her
That's
right
Matt
there?
James's mom. We saw her on the season that Matt James was the Bachelor.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Patty's the baddie.
Oh my goodness.
Here's a little announcement for the show. I am
What?
going to be watching The Golden Bachelor.
You are? I think I'm going to
I
too.
promised my
Yes.
girl I was going to watch it. I've never watched the season. I don't even know what that show's about, but I'm going to watch it.
Good
I'm
for you.
excited.
Wow.
It seems fun.
I'm watching
Jeff,
too.
are you in?
What's a baddie?
You know,
you're
like-
in your baddie. Are Jeff and I in our baddie kingdom right now?
I don't know if y'all are in your baddie
She
kingdom
paused.
because y'all have been like, you've been attractive for quite some time. It's not like a new thing.
Are we in our zaddy kingdom?
Y'all can be in a zaddy kingdom.
Yeah.
I know what zaddy is.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
a baddie is baddie, so like a bad human.
Oh, that's
You
why
guys
no one
sound-
was telling me. I'm like,
Yeah.
just tell me.
Yeah.
You guys
I
sound
got
like
you. Baddie.
super boomers right now.
Do you know? Did you know
Yes,
what that
I
was?
knew
You
what
didn't know what a baddie
I-
kingdom was.
I know what a baddie is, so I
What's a baddie
can
kingdom? naturally
a baddie kingdom, meaning
Yes.
you finally rose to your like royal status
Yeah,
as a
you
baddie.
got your key to the baddie kingdom.
Yeah.
Okay.
You what do you
Yeah.
want to say now?
I've been in the kingdom. Me and Jeff.
I'll tell you what. I'll watch only if one of those women get drunk and jump in the pool, kind of like the regular Bachelor,
Yes.
and I'm all in.
That may happen.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
here for
that.
it.
I'm in.
Jeff, will you watch it if I watch it?
Only if someone gets drunk and jumps in the pool.
right.
I
All
want
right.
someone kicked off the first night, and I'm in.
Okay, there it is.
May
That's
happen.
fair.
Coming
That's
up
fair.
on DBL, 4 friends over 40 who share their words of wisdom to thousands of followers on TikTok are telling us all about how they're inspiring other women to appreciate aging.
Hurricanes can bring significant rainfall and cause damaging storm surges, which floods low-lying communities. While most people have traditional renters or homeowners insurance, Some may find they might not have coverage to rebuild after a flood. So, let's verify. Do homeowners and renters insurance policies typically cover flood damage from hurricanes? Our sources are the Florida Division of Emergency Management, the Insurance Information Institute, Federal Emergency Management Agency, and insurance companies Allstate and Amica. Homeowners insurance is a way to repair or rebuild your home after something bad happens. Homeowners insurance, along with renters, also helps cover the cost to replace your belongings. Typically, when you buy a policy, the insurance companies will give you a detailed list of events that they cover, or tell you you're covered for all events except those they specifically exclude. All of our sources say standard homeowners and renters policies typically exclude coverage for flooding. Allstate says this includes flooding brought on by or as a result of a hurricane. So, no, homeowners and renters insurance policies do not typically cover flood damage from hurricanes. Instead, you can purchase separate flood insurance from a private company or a policy that's backed by FEMA's National Flood Insurance Program. These policies usually require you to purchase them at least 30 days before they take effect. If you didn't buy coverage ahead of time, FEMA also offers some assistance to people who live in areas that receive a presidential disaster declaration. However, Florida's emergency management warns the average payout to Florida residents from FEMA is usually only about $5,000, which may not be enough for repairs. This compares to claims filed by people with separate flood insurance who receive an average of $29,000. With your Verify, I'm Brandon Lewis.
Welcome back. It can be hard navigating friendships at any age, but these TikTok stars prove that strong connections are worth fighting for. Earlier, we talked to them about their page, 4 Friends Over 40. Take a look.
Television has shown us some of the greatest friendships, from the Golden Girls to Sex and the City. Everyone wants someone who will be by their side through the good and the bad.
It's hard, we're busy, we have kids, we have full-time jobs, but you have to be there, not just for the fun, good times, but you have to show up for the bad times, for the hard times.
This was the blueprint for Erin, Terrell, Sarah, and Jen. 4 working women who knew that their 20-year friendship was too good not to share.
From my experience of being on TikTok, if anybody was talking, it would just be one person. So I presented to the girls, hey, why don't we just go on TikTok? It's so fun. It's such a fun platform. And we'll try a few things. These are things we feel like younger generation needs to hear.
I'm uncomfortable.
And we're uncomfortable, but we're gonna, you know what? Let's have a conversation in the comments.
Through their TikTok channel, 4 Friends Over 40, they're showing the world that sometimes all you need in life is someone to be there for you.
We're here because we want to give advice to all the daughters in our lives and women.
We're closer now after, 3 months of making TikToks than ever, and we were already really close.
And while inspiring others, they're shining a light on how very precious that can be.
Here now from 4 Friends Over 40, Jen, Sarah, Erin, and Terrell. Welcome to the show. Hi. All right, well, you guys are 4 Friends Over 40. We're 5 Friends Over 40. Yeah.
Okay. Similar. Erin, I want to ask you, what made you want to create this TikTok channel in the first place?
Well, I think all of us were on TikTok in some capacity. We were there mostly to look at our teenagers and make sure they were behaving. But we found ourselves, searching for women our age, talking about things that we care about, things that we talk about. And it was kind of hard to find. There's a lot of makeup tutorials and cooking videos,
Dances.
But, we wanted something honest. And we also weren't finding anything on there where there was a group of friends together. So it was important to us to come together and give it a try.
Love it. I love that. Well, Terrell, your sister, Robin, unfortunately passed away 6 years ago from breast cancer, and she was also a member of your friend group. So how do y'all keep her memory alive?
Well, we talk about her all the time and everything that we really do. And lots of times we feel like just her presence is with us and things will come up and we'll sort of just, start a conversation and remember all of the good times that we had with her. We all have different mementos from her life. We have rings and jewelry and clothing and things like that. And lots of times if we're just texting back and forth, we'll just I was just thinking of Robin today. Here's take a picture of the ring and text it to our friend group. And so we're constantly just thinking about her, keeping her alive in what we do. And there's things that we do just to talk about her.
What is the secret to a lifelong friendship?
Honestly, and we've said it before, it's showing up more than anything. Like Jen was saying, needing help with her daughter, or Erin when her daughter was fussy. One of us shows up. Robin obviously was one of our best friends, and obviously Terrell's sister. We have just shown up for each other throughout the years. It's not all fun. We do take girls trips. We text and have fun. We go out to dinners, but there's times I have 4 young kids. There's times where I kind of had to tap out of going out and having fun, but no one gave up on me. Everybody, keep texting, keep trying. Oh, you can't come? Here, next one. Let's try it again. So it's just the don't give up, the keep showing up, and we've all done it for each other at our different phases in life.
I love that, because I'm used to tapping out.
I am too. I'm not great at keeping in contact, for real.
You're quite the busy bee. You pretend that you're tapping out all the time. You're out and about, girl.
Yeah, no, I am about. I'm a bee.
We love you guys. DBL Nation, you can follow your new best friends on TikTok right now at 4 Friends Over 40. Thank you so much, ladies. Congratulations on all your success. We'll be right back.
Thanks. Thanks for having us.
The eye of Hurricane Idalia has moved on from Florida, becoming a tropical storm overnight, but still wreaking havoc in the Carolinas. In Charleston, South Carolina, tide levels reached more than 9 feet. Charleston Harbor overflowing, while nearby, severe winds sent this car flying. The storm surge also flooding the Isle of Palms, and Idalia left behind major flooding in Florida as well, turning streets into rivers.
It's going to swallow up the whole town. I've got to get to cover.
Idalia made landfall Wednesday in Florida as a Category 3 storm that spanned 350 miles in diameter. Drone video showing the aftermath in the town of Steinhatchee, where homes and boats were submerged. Strong winds ripping a roof off of a home, while high tides causing violent waves to slam onto highways. And at one point in Cedar Key, the storm surge surpassing 10 feet.
It was the biggest that we've ever seen.
Maximum winds at landfall were near 125 miles per hour. The Big Bend area has not seen a hurricane of that strength in 127 years.
This is a giant pine tree that has crashed into a home here in Perry. There was a family inside with a baby.
It was kind of terrifying, honestly. We heard one of the trees start to crack, and our eyes just got widened. He came and he jumped over top of us.
So your husband put his body over your body to protect you?
Governor Ron DeSantis saying recovery efforts and cleanup are out in full force.
We haven't had a storm take this path at this level since the 1890s.
What's your message to Floridians who are trapped or stranded right now?
If you are in harm's way or you are in peril, you call emergency and there will be a response.
The governor's wife tweeting that his mansion in Tallahassee also saw some damage from a 100-year-old oak tree. The family uninjured. As Florida reels through the aftermath of Idalia, the storm barreled through parts of Georgia with winds reaching 90 miles per hour.
There's been a heavy impact in South Georgia with heavy rainfall and heavy winds.
Before moving to the Carolinas. This morning, new concerns over flash flooding along the coast as the wrath of Tropical Storm Idalia sweeps through the southeast.
The iPhone could get its first new charging port in more than a decade. Let's connect the dots. For years, consumers have complained about the iPhone-specific charging port, but that could soon change. Apple has already been switching products like laptops to a more commonly used USB-C charging port instead. Now, that type of charger is used in almost every laptop that's been released in the last couple of years. Now the iPhone could get the upgrade too, and it's all thanks to European regulators. So the European Union says all new smartphones have to have a USB-C charger by 2024. Consumers say a switch to USB-C charging ports have several advantages. These types of chargers are faster than the iPhone's current charger, and because they're more common, it'll be easier to borrow a charger when your battery is low. So far, Apple has yet to actually comment on if it will make the change. But experts agree, it's not a question of if, but when. And that's connecting the dots.
Welcome back. We've got some great products from our friends at Morning Save. Check them out.
Steph, so good to see you. What do you have for us today?
Hi, Tori. Hey, DBL Nation. I am so excited to show you all of the deals today. Trust me, they're fabulous. Let's check them out. So, first up today, we've got the First Health Eye Massager with relaxing heat.
What?
So this deal includes one electronic temple and eye massager with heat. So normally this is $100.
Yes, has a lot going.
Oh, it's fabulous, but we've got it for just $29.99. That is saving you guys 70%. Now check out this, we've got the Black & Decker all-in-one baby food maker. So this deal includes one baby food maker, one steam basket, one blender bowl, one spatula, and one measuring cup.
Wow.
So normally this is $130.
Oh, Lord.
We've got it for just $24.99.
Wow.
So that's saving 81%. Now, this is a really handy device. We've got the Catchy Indoor Insect Trap.
I'm buying that. I'm buying that.
This deal includes one insect trap and it has got triple the power. There is an UV light, a powerful fan, and a sticky glue board that will get rid of fruit flies, gnats, and other small bugs.
Wow.
Normally, it's $79, but we have it for just $29.99. That's saving 62%. And then don't forget, Tori, we've still got one more product. It is the Cuisinart Advantage 5-piece ceramic coated color knife set.
Love these.
This includes one paring knife, one santoku knife, one slicing knife, one serrated utility knife, and one chef's knife.
Oh, cute.
And each knife comes with a matching blade guard, but this holder that it's on right here, I want you guys to know it's not included today, okay, guys? So normally this is $56.
Yeah, because it's Cuisinart, you know what I mean?
But we've got it for $19. That's saving 66%.
Head on over to morningsave.com to snag these amazing deals at the lowest prices, or you can even scan the QR code on screen. It will take you directly to these products on Morning Save's website. Thank you so much, Steph.
Okay, we have a lot of comments in regard to the Golden Bachelor. Marquita says this should get interesting. Spurpus says, I am absolutely amazed they didn't have a bunch of 20-something-year-old women for the Golden Bachelor. Good point. That would have been
like
so
a regular
not,
bachelor. Age difference.
No, having an older man with a bunch of 20-something. No, I know. I think she's being facetious.
Well, yeah, but
Thank goodness, right?
I mean, yeah, but I think this is going to be fun. I'm just anxious to see like how they're going to play it. Is everybody going to be classy, or are they just going to? Is it going to be like any other episode where it starts getting real?
Well, you've seen the Real Housewives, right? Of New York. I think of like.
I can't wait to recap it.
Well, we hope you guys have a great day. Goodbye.